Hello, friends, and welcome to the next episode of Tiny Little Victories. I am your host, Jennifer Kite Powell, and I know you are so excited to hear my voice again because I actually had a couple of emails saying, "We miss your voice." Okay, that being said, I really want to apologize because I know we've been a little delayed with getting this podcast out. And, we're still human here, so I feel like that's okay. And the second thing is, I think I mentioned this before, but I had surgery and it's taking me a little longer to recover. And then life gets in the way. And then I record these podcasts and I have to edit these podcasts. And basically, we had a little slowdown. But we are back. We are back on the fast track. We are going to bring to you amazing guests every week. Yep, we're going back to the weekly because people really like that. So I think you guys can set your clocks again and know that we're going to bring you a podcast a week. And you'll be able to sit back, relax, and enjoy taking a trip somewhere, talking in your backyard with your friends, maybe share it with your parents. So we're ready for all of that to happen again. Now, the next guest that's on this show is someone that I interviewed back in 2019 for Forbes, and again this year in 2023. And she is a virtual reality and AR creative director and artist. She's pretty amazing. Her name is Estella Zay. I think I did that right. I think one of the most interesting things about her is that she integrates emerging technologies like AR and VR and visual storytelling into a new art form. And she has been an artist in residence at, get this, Google, Adobe, Cartoon Network Studios, and she performs and she speaks internationally. But here's a really cool thing about her. People, companies like Adobe, actually bring her in as an artist in residence, and then they give her all these new tools that they haven't rolled out into market. And she gets to figure out great ways to create art with them, to use them in ways that the company never even thought of. Or maybe they had a little inkling, but they thought, hey, you're not an artist. We can't do that. So Estella lives in Portland, Oregon right now, but she is from Oakland, CA. She also is a Chinese American, and she talks a lot about the dualness of being, a Chinese American and growing up in that household, and then realizing it's like, I want to speak up. I want to do things my way. So she has a lot of interesting things that she's discovered about herself that she has actually put into a lot of her art. And one of my favorite installations, I guess you could say, virtual installations, was a piece called Two Sides of the Same Coin, where she literally talked about the challenges of being pushed and pulled by two conflicting worlds. We're going to put that into the notes so you can watch it. There is a video and you can see it. And I think this probably resonates with a lot of people that we've talked about. It's like what your parents want you to do versus what you know in your heart that you have to do. And so I think Estella is a really great example of someone that has had to really focus on how do you be an individual? How do you be bold? How do you be yourself, coming from a world that was telling you to be quiet, to conform, and to be invisible. So she's going to talk about that and how she represents that in her art. But she's also going to talk about the amazing possibilities of creating with virtual reality and augmented reality. She also was a coder. She was creating her own websites at 11. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. I mean, the energy there is just absolutely phenomenal. So I am very excited to bring you this next guest, Estella Zay, on Tiny Little Victories. Hey,
Here we
everybody,
are.
we're back. Yeah, we're here. I love that. Hey, just bring us into the show, Estella. Just bring us
Oh
into
my
the show.
gosh. Well, here we
Yeah,
are on Tiny Little Victories.
I love that.
My name is Estella. I am a VR and AR creative director and artist. So what that means is I make huge installations and art pieces using virtual reality and augmented reality. Um, yes. Hello.
Hello. I love, love, love. You're the first guest that's every you're the first guest who's only introduced herself, which actually now I think we're going to do this from here on out. I really, really like it. And I mean, you've hit on so many things that I want to talk about. I'm so excited. So I'm so glad you're here. I'm glad you introduced yourself. I don't know how many of you guys are listening, but there's like 10 things she said in the introduction, which make me so excited that we're going to dive right in. And I just want to tell everybody I've known you virtually for
Mhm.
since 2019 when we met
Yeah.
online through a piece of work that you did for CES, for the Dutch pavilion at
Mhm.
CES. And this was a magnificent piece of work, everybody. She took a classic painting, Rembrandt's the Night's Watch.
Mhm.
Yeah,
The Night Watch. Mhm.
the Night Watch, and you painted it in AR VR live at
Mhm.
CES where people could experience the painting. And so I've been dying to ask you this out loud on this
Mhm.
podcast, but what does
Mhm.
that feel like to create a piece of art that people can walk through?
Yeah, it's interesting. This is my 8th year doing this work. So
Oh,
for me, I've been I'm kind of, numb to it. Not numb, but like I'm used to it. I'm used to the medium. I'm used to the
I like
medium.
that. I'm used to the media.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for most people that I show the any pieces to, it's almost always their first time in VR. So
Mm,
a lot of them haven't even experienced VR to begin with, and so um, I'm specifically talking about virtual reality, where like you
okay.
don't even see the full like your reality anymore. You hop into my immersive space, and
Yeah.
so with the VR pieces that I make, I paint the whole environment. And so if you can imagine the world that you walk into, it's all like a hand painting that you walk into. You go walk and explore and put yourself in,
Hmm.
and you can step forward, you could look up and down and behind things. So for the Rembrandt piece, the challenge first was to recreate a Rembrandt
Yeah,
piece.
I mean, like, just come on. That's what I was like. I was going to let you talk, but people tell me to shut up and let the guest talk a little more. But I was like, how do you recreate a Rembrandt in virtual
Yeah.
reality? Because I'm looking at it
Yeah.
right now on my screen. It's absolutely beautiful. So, could
Yeah.
you take me there? Take us
Sure.
there.
Sure. I always have a component of research in the pieces that I make. So that's I have a background in sociology as well. So I'm like, oh, I
What?
gotta research.
Can we just gonna have to like white line that back to the fact that you have a background in sociology and
Yeah.
you do creative research and development for emerging tech,
Hmm.
which you then apply
Hmm.
into AR, VR visual storytelling. So, I mean, what? Like, think about it.
Yeah, I have to tell you my life story in this full podcast, and
Okay, we'll love it.
I'll
Let's do
explain.
it. Let's do it.
So
Yeah.
Rembrandt. Let's start with there. And
Yeah.
so
Stay there.
my process is I look at the original piece, I do some research on why he painted it, like what was the history behind it, and back then
Oh, I love that.
there was a lot of these kind of paintings for kind of like community not community centers, but these kind of like clubs or unions and stuff. And so they would
Hmm.
have these large paintings of the members. And what was significant about Rembrandt's pieces is that there was like movement and action. There were these glimpses of moments in his pieces. That's what made it different in his era. And so instead of just like a still life or somebody sitting for a portrait,
Yeah.
his were these
Yeah.
moments. So the
Moments of
moment.
movement in a painting that doesn't move.
Yes, and so that was pretty significant for his era. And so I think for the Night Watch, it was a moment where like people were called to action to like go to like not necessarily go to battle, I think, but
Yeah.
they were like take up in arms, like it's time to go. So
Yeah.
they were all heading out in that way. Um and
Yeah, you can see
then
that in the painting too. They are in
yeah.
it's interesting, you know what, you've really brought something they are in
Mhm.
motion, you're right. And the
Mhm.
fact that you can
Mhm.
recognize them in motion in a painting is quite
Mhm.
remarkable. But even more remarkable,
Mhm.
I feel like Rembrandt and you would have been buddies because
Oh my gosh.
he actually was creating motion like
Mhm.
statically, and you're bringing that to life.
Yes, exactly. So what I do, I've been asked a few times to recreate famous paintings, and so I take that kind of that the root of his painting, and I kind of extrude it. So I literally bring three
Oh.
dimensions to it. So the challenge with um, these paintings is that I can't see what's like the parts that are covered, right? So if there's a person in front of another
Yeah,
person,
yeah.
I kind of have to like do the research, like what does the rest of the night look like? What does the armor look like? And
Oh,
so, because if you think about it, if you walk into a full environment, there has to be
yeah.
figures that are complete. They're not just like
Yeah.
segmented human
Yeah, just an
persons, right?
arm or something. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. But, originally when I first do the recreation, there are just arms just floating in air, or there's just like some pieces floating around. And then my work is to build the 3D component of it, right? So how do I still take his interpretation of the painting and myself add my own take on it, and like add the 3D components, and kind of still honor the original, but just making it three-dimensional. Um
Yeah, and that original painting was quite dark, I
Mhm.
think,
Mhm,
because
mhm,
I guess the
mhm,
night watch, and it's a very dark painting. So I guess I'm
mhm.
looking
It's
at
also old. Mhm.
your version of that. Yeah,
Mhm.
1642 or something. Like it's really
Yeah.
old.
Mhm.
I mean, what when you looked at that painting, you were doing your research, what was the first thing that jumped out at you? Because it's mostly men, but there is a woman hiding in there.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm. There's
what
a little
was it
girl
about?
in there as well. Mhm.
Oh, it's a little girl. Okay. And
Mhm.
what was the like when you looked at it, you did your research and you applied your sociology
Mhm.
background, like what was it that you felt was important to create first? Was it just the extrusion part of it, or was there something that jumped out
Mm.
at you?
Oh, I started let's see. Okay, so the way I paint, oh, this is such a good question. So, I there's so many
Yeah,
thoughts in my
I
head
mean,
right
that's
now.
what I'm here for.
So,
Yeah.
I painted it like so something that I used to do in design school is something called master copy. So, I would try to recreate these paintings in 2D, like how the masters painted, because that's how I learned the technique. And
Yeah.
so part of it is painting like back to front. So I started with the architecture in the back first, and I'm like, oh, okay, there's a big doorway, there's like a
Ah,
keystone element, there's like I had to like kind of look at what the
yeah.
buildings kind of looked like in that
Yeah, the
era.
columns. Yeah.
Yeah, and like there's I think there's a staircase actually that you can't really see, but like they're like
Oh,
on a
wow.
staircase, I think. So I kind of like put that together,
Oh,
and
yeah, you're
then
right. They are at a staircase. They're coming
yeah.
down.
Yeah, yeah. And then I then added the figures from the foreground and then to the background. What I
Okay.
found most compelling is that there's probably over 30 figures in the painting. And that's a
Yeah, there's a
lot.
lot of people. It's a lot of people
That's
in
a
there
lot.
getting a call to
That's a lot
action,
of people.
right?
Yeah. Including Rembrandt himself. He put himself in there
Oh,
as well. So
which one was
he's like,
he? Is he hidden?
"Ooh, let me," yeah, he's very hidden. Let me
He's
bring
always
up
he
the
always he
image.
always hid himself, didn't he?
Yes, he always does. Let me try to
I
find
mean,
the
there's a guy in
image
the
real
lower
quick.
corner, but there's so many different people in this. Like you said, there's so many different people. There are 30 different people.
Mhm.
There's people with swords. There's the young girl on the stairs. She's sort of like this golden figure.
Yeah.
There's the main
Mhm,
man. You've got different
mhm.
hats. You've got helmets. You've got swords,
Yes.
drums.
Mhm.
And when I look at yours, and I hope everybody's using their
Mhm.
imagination, which is why I love audio so much. I don't
Mhm.
want you looking at
Mhm.
us. I want you thinking about these colors. But in the virtual
Mhm.
reality version of your piece, it is
Mhm.
nearly a carbon copy, but
Mm.
it's beautiful, your piece. You literally
Thank
captured the
you.
same colors
Mm.
and replication of style and pose.
Thank
And
you.
I guess my question for you is like when someone was able to
Mm.
be there and experience that, what was the feeling that you saw?
Right.
Were you able to
Mhm.
get people's feedback or?
Yeah, it's just I love showing people my pieces, because there's this moment of awe, and
Yeah.
there we call it like the VR smile. Like
Oh,
there's this
I love that.
smile when they walk in, they're like, "Oh my god, this is so cool." 'Cause there's something to be said about somebody being able to walk through my
Mm,
paintings. And
absolutely.
like the medium itself lends itself to a sense of wonder because you're fully
Yeah.
immersed. And there's this magic component of like, wait, like I got transported to this different place. Like, oh my gosh, it really tickles the
Yeah.
imagination. Mhm.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And that's sort of goes to your ethos of, I think, you know,
Mhm.
bringing visual storytelling to a new art form, which sort of
Mhm.
leads me to my next question. And I guess there must be challenges in a way because you create a space that's not yours that you can't
Mhm.
like it's gotta be so temporary. And does it bother you in a
Mhm.
way when you're done with your your can I say art installation? Like I
Mhm.
think you did one called the two sides of the same coin.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
does it
Mhm.
bother you a little that you create it and then you have to leave it and it poof disappears forever?
No, I'm okay with it, cause okay,
Okay.
here's it's I guess it could be challenging for some people, but I love building experiences that are kind of custom
Mm,
to whatever the
mhm.
event, the audience, whatever the moment in time is. There's something so beautiful
Oh, I
about
love that.
these little moments, right? Like, okay, let's like talk about the human, like just the human experience, like the human heart
Yes.
stuff, right? So like
Yes.
I'm all about gratitude and this moment of time that we exist in. Like, and in this moment, like I feel gratitude towards these things or whatever it may be.
Mhm.
And there's something so beautiful about living in the present. And it's taken
It's
me a
so
long
true.
time to learn how to do that. And I still
Yeah.
have challenges with that as well.
I
um
think that's a human condition, right? Like I think you said you something on your website that's really beautiful and that speaks to
mm.
this. You say you spend so much time pretending to be someone else. It takes a lifetime to remember what it's like to be yourself.
Oh,
And
yes.
I love that you said that. And I think that your point of being present in the moment and life is all these tiny moments, tiny little victories,
Yeah.
but also it's tiny moments that are
Yep.
the most important thing. And I respect what you said because
Mhm.
tomorrow's just a promise.
Mhm. 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 Yep. Yep. It
And
really
I
is.
think your concept of building these experiences, creating them for that moment is a really
Mhm.
much more zen way, if I could say it, to look at art because as someone that loves art, collects art, like loves to
Mhm.
be a part of art, I
Mhm.
think you touch it, you feel it. But I think even if you do touch it and feel it, for me, you still experience it, the
Mhm.
emotions, the
Yes.
colors.
Yes. It
Um,
the
yeah.
medium lends itself to creating a memory, and that's what I aim
Yeah.
for. I aim to create a pleasant and like wonder-filled
Yeah.
moment and
Wonder filled.
memory.
I think that's the new word of the week right there. Wonder filled.
Like it's just so cool. Like I think, I still have people that I haven't seen for years, and they're like, I still remember your piece, your butterfly piece when
Oh,
you showed this. I'm like, oh wow, like that was years ago. That's so cool. They're like, yeah, like
but
they just
you have to touch them.
yeah. And to me, that's why I create the work that I do. If I can help create like a positive moment, a positive impact, both in, helping people feel less alone or helping,
Yeah.
like marginalized groups feel like
Oh,
they're
yeah.
empowered to do something, like that's
Yeah.
all so important to me.
It
That's the
is. And I
social
think
component
that
of me.
yeah, but I think, that social component of you is like if you look back over time, artists are always representing the social change, right? Social
Mm,
stress,
mhm,
social
mhm,
drama, social
mhm.
inequities. If you look
Yes,
at
yeah.
paintings and things, you can see that through time.
Mhm,
Um,
mhm,
and I think
mhm.
I wonder what you would like you were you did you study art and painting? Like I'm so enthralled
Yeah,
by your background because you're
let's
also
talk
very
about my
techie.
yeah, let's
Yeah.
talk about my
You're super
background.
techie. Yeah.
It's all those
Sit
things.
down on the sofa, folks. We're gonna deconstruct Estella today.
Yeah, it's I don't live a very conventional life, and
That's
hopefully this
good.
is
That's good.
exciting and fun for people. Um,
Yeah, that's
I
good. Who
have
wants that?
tried. I have tried.
Doesn't work.
This
Didn't work, did
doesn't
it?
work for me. It's not
I love that.
Not the right cup of tea for me. I'll tell you what.
Nope, I hear you. Me too. I never. My mother always said, "Well, that was never going to be your path." Okay.
I would have loved to sit down with your mom when I was younger.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
You know what? She
Okay.
was actually very great. She was very much like, "Why would you try to be like these things? That's not you anyway. That's not who you
Oh,
are."
how
Yeah.
supportive.
Oftentimes, I'm really lucky because I say back to her, I go, "Hey, do you remember when I was younger and I had this type of thing happen? How would I handle it?" And she said, "Well, you were never really good with change. So you would either go and like grab all your playthings and grab them in a corner and then go hide and like discuss it and line them all up
Oh.
again. Then you'd write." I
Oh.
said, "Oh, I'm kind of doing that now, then in a whole different way. I don't have all my playthings, but good to know. Thanks for
Oh,
that
that's
checks and balances."
so
Yeah,
cool to be
I
able to
think it's
check on
good.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um,
Mhm.
so background.
Yes,
Uh,
I'm
I-
dying to know this.
okay. So my parents are from Hong Kong. They're immigrants to the US. And I was born with two older brothers and myself. I was born in Oakland, California, born and raised.
Go, go,
And
Oakland.
yes, thank you. We're very proud people. Um,
Yeah.
and so when I was very young, actually, if you can believe it, I was very introverted and shy, and I did not like to talk.
Oh,
I refused to talk. Actually, I was like, no, I
what?
will, no, yep. And
Why? Is
so
that, do you think, because you were had two older brothers or because you had the Chinese American,
all of the
like,
above. Oh my
thing?
god,
Yeah. Okay.
probably all
Yeah.
of the above. And I was the only daughter.
Yeah.
I was raised to be a docile, quiet,
Yes.
invisible woman.
You know,
Um,
it's so amazing. What a conflict of cultures, though, I think, to navigate. I think that's what you talk about in your piece, the two
yes.
sides of
Two
one
sides of the
coin.
same coin,
Yeah.
yeah.
Hmm.
Exactly. But, like, as I kind of grew older, I realized that I am not those things really. I actually really love to express myself and find the
Yeah.
courage to do so. Anyway, so growing up, I always drew. Actually, I always traced and colored things a lot. Thinking back on it,
Oh.
like doing copies and like recreating things was actually kind
So
of
you've
my
been
knack.
doing this from, so if you talked to my mom, she would have said, "Okay, well, you're doing what you're supposed to do.
Yeah,
Recreating things."
yeah, yeah, and I like coloring, I like sculpting things. And then when I was probably around 10 or 11, my one of my brothers was learning how to code, and he encouraged me to learn too. He like plopped a book down in front of me. He's like, "You should learn this." And I
I
was
love
like,
that.
"Okay." So I started learning how to code when I was 11 years old, and I started building web pages. This is
What?
1996. So this was
Oh my
1995,
God.
1996. Yeah, so I've been kind of writing with technology.
You sure? I was just going to say, you're just taking that wave, right? Like, right from the
Yes.
beginning.
Yeah, so I've always been fiddling with technology. And then at some point I was like, "Oh, can what if I drew drawings and then made that part of like my splash page for my website or something like that?" And
That's
I started
crazy modern.
yeah, this is like working with like I think there was frames back then. I was learning how to do
Yes.
like
My God, we couldn't do anything back
oh,
then in
tables. It
1996.
was tables. It was
Tables.
oh,
Tables.
yes, I was doing everything in tables, so all the images were broken up, but you could the illusion of it is like, wow, you can click on this painting and it goes to another painting. So I've always been playing with this like interactivity with visual design and technology in some way. Um, so
Wow.
those are kind of on the side as like my little kid hobbies, which is kind of
Yeah.
insane thinking about it, right? Um,
Yeah, that's
then
insane for a kid hobby. I think I was selling Girl Scout cookies.
oh,
Yeah.
see, I didn't learn the business component at all, so that's cool
Oh,
that you did.
I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure we probably just ate them all at our girls' clubhouse or something. I got every badge, but I hated the structure. You know,
Oh,
it's like
yeah.
I liked doing the stuff, but I hated the structure. And I think I was actually
Yeah.
like, they told my mom at one point, like, she can't come anymore because she's already gotten all the badges and she's so impatient. And mom's like, well, that's who she is. Like, just, move on. Move on,
Yeah, but
people.
yeah. Let's keep the party going, y'all. Yeah.
Exactly.
And so
Okay,
when I
so
was getting
Estella, as young Estella, is making web pages at 11
yes.
and
Yeah.
painting and drawing things using frames, trying to
Yeah.
make these web pages be interactive, right? At 11.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was also doing nerdy things like playing games and like StarCraft,
Yeah.
Warcraft and StarCraft and all those sorts
Yeah.
of things.
This would make
Um,
sense. I would say check mark if I had to make like a check sheet. Yes. Okay.
okay, so then getting ready for college. So first generation born, it was very important for me to go to college and get a
Yeah.
proper academic foundation, of course.
Yeah.
And I was me and my brothers were the first generation of our family to go to college.
That's
So
great.
yeah, my brothers
I bet
studied
your parents were proud. What did your brothers end up doing?
uh, they both study computer science and computer engineering. So we were all very privileged and lucky that
Yeah.
we got a handle of that early on.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
myself actually I study sociology at UCLA, so that was my first degree, my
So
major.
why?
And
You got to take us there. Take us
yes,
there.
yes,
What
I
led you
can.
to that?
I have been always interested in why people do the things that they do. And I was just
Mm.
curious about it. And growing up in Oakland, this is really relates to like my roots growing up in Oakland because like you notice social injustices really easily.
Yeah.
You're like, well, we're part of the have-nots. I went to the public school system, so there
Mhm.
were classes, for instance, we just didn't have teachers for like half a year because there just weren't enough
Yeah.
teachers. And then there were each class was maybe about 40 something students. There weren't enough chairs or desks per kid.
That's amazing that we just
Hmm.
care so little for who we deem to be the have-nots. We're like, "Oh, well, it doesn't matter."
Well, yeah, they don't need teachers, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so it made me think like how come like why is this? And I was part of like kind of the tracking programs where like because I very blatantly because I wasn't black, I was put into certain classes for honor classes and academic
Mm, mm-mm.
like those sorts of classes and stuff.
Yeah.
And so my friend group started shifting and I was like, why is that happening? And we would discuss this stuff
Yeah.
in some of our classes too, like those kind of inequality moments. Like
Yeah, it's like
how does
extreme
this decide?
bias, but yeah.
Yeah, and so, I became aware of those indifferent those kind of, inequalities really early on, the systemic inequalities
Mm.
that, people now discuss. I'm like, yeah, when you're
Yeah, but
part
that
of that
wasn't a popular topic back then, right? Like,
No, not
I
in the
love
90s.
not even I also love this the word you've coined, inequality moments, because, like, the awareness of that, I
Mm.
think, is so interesting in terms of how it shaped you.
Yeah, yeah. And so I really wanted to understand like the human psyche, but more from a sociological perspective, like group dynamics rather than just the individual choices. So I wanted to learn more about that. Like what makes people tick, like why are we the way that we are? Like what is a
Mm.
social construct? Why are we defined the way that we are as women? Like why just like
Yeah.
so many whys and so many questions about
Yeah.
just humanity. And so that is a core foundation to like who I am. And that's why I do work that like I want to positively impact people. Like I want to make the world a better place, whether it's like inspiring one young girl to like get into technology or
Yeah.
like somebody to like get into painting again or something like that. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
that.
Yeah. But, like, your
Mhm.
your combined background, the
Mhm.
behind the music, so to speak, of
Mhm.
Estella-speak
Mhm.
is this driving force, and you can see this through some of your work, like, to driving in terms of, like you
Mhm.
said, someone that may want to get into painting again, but use technology, and also someone that's very techy to be able to
Mhm.
maybe embrace art or
Mhm.
visual storytelling, or maybe like they were programmed in a way to say, you got to get a real job. You can't go do,
Yeah.
you get an art degree.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that though, if I look on the outside looking at the work you've created and then look at your
Mm.
your approach and your
Mhm.
background, it really
Mhm.
is like inspiring on so many levels to like you can
Mm.
really touch like many different people, like you said.
Mm.
Um, you can
Thank you.
you can touch them from just a pure art perspective, from a tech perspective, from
Mhm.
you had a girl
Mhm.
to get into tech from R&D and what she could do with that in
Mm.
art. I mean, I
Mhm.
think art sometimes gets why do we feel so restricted in how we use technology to create art? I don't think we should. I think we
Yeah.
should continue to evolve art.
Yeah.
And you do
Mhm.
see people getting a little upset. Well, that's not really art, you know?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, like, it just depends, right? Like,
Yeah.
everyone has an opinion. It's kind of like, we all have different taste buds. We all have different, like, tastes,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
everyone has a different, like, flavor profile or whatever it may
Yeah.
be.
Flavor
And
profile. I
you know
love
what I
that.
mean? It's just like,
Yeah.
let's just change the medium to a different sensory system, right? Like,
Yeah.
everyone's has a different personal taste. And
Yeah.
that's okay. And so it's interesting because I think let's talk about this. Okay, so art.
Yeah.
I think this definition of art, I think there are gatekeepers of what is defined, popularly as art and what
Yeah.
isn't. That in
Yeah.
itself is a conversation that is gate kept, like like what is art,
No,
what is not art?
that's a
Like
very actually that's a that's a very gate kept is exactly correct because you that is true because that whoever those gatekeepers are, they're the worst because art is supposed to be, I think, open to free to everybody, right?
yeah.
It should not be the privileged people. There should not be a bias over
Yes.
who has an access to art and who doesn't,
Yes.
which is why
Yes.
I feel like
Yes.
gallerists are just really suffering right now because they're like, "Oh, well that's not art and I can only, we only want these types of people." Well,
Right.
hello, art people, everybody has the right to enjoy art. And if you
Yeah.
close off like
Yep.
a set of people that you think is unworthy or
Yeah.
kind of
Yeah.
something you said earlier, which was,
Yeah.
I think you said something about inequality moments, then
Mhm.
you're
Yeah.
literally closing down most of the world.
Yes. That's the silliest thing to me.
It's so silly.
It's
I agree with you. It's silly. But
um,
gatekeeping, I think that's a great I think there's actually a book somewhere that someone wrote about that gatekeeping where it's really harmful because the
mhm,
art world should be open to everybody and somehow over time it became even more walled off
mm,
and more walled off and more walled off. And now,
mhm,
we put an emphasis on technology in schools and everything, which is great. But
mhm,
what about art?
mhm, mhm,
It's just as
mhm.
important. An artist can have a
Yeah,
commercial success and an art why are these not two things allowed? Why can't you
right.
someone say, "Oh, I love your art," but that doesn't mean you don't want to get paid for it. It's
Oh,
like
oh, don't even get me started. Oh my god.
I
Yeah,
do want to
like
get you started.
well,
Yeah.
okay, well, I mean, there's just this misconception that artists shouldn't be paid just because they have
Yeah.
fun doing it. It's like at the same time,
Yes.
it's like it's not my fault that you chose a career that you don't really love. It's
Exactly.
just
It's not my fault you hate your career. Yeah.
yeah, it's like you should do what you love too and get paid for it too.
This is
Like
so, so
everyone
true.
should.
And everybody shouldn't, but I do think that artists hear that a lot. Oh, it's so great. I love it. Or I want you to draw something for me, but you love your art, so you don't need to be compensated for that.
That's absolutely absurd. And then to
It's
any artist that's hearing that, like, no, absolutely not. You should, like, no, that all stems from this tortured artist idea from
yes.
Van Gogh, who like cut his ear
Yes.
off and all this stuff.
Yeah.
But like, no, it's not, doesn't have to be that way. It really doesn't
No,
have to
it
be that
does, and
way.
I don't think that it's I really like the artists that are speaking out about this because I think in a way it's what I would consider to be modern visual storytellers. I can't even say
Hmm.
modern. I mean, obviously art form has changed over time. First you
Sure.
had a sculpture and then you would like hack into some stone. And then they
Yep.
didn't even have blue paint when they first
Yeah.
started. They had to like someone had to create that shit.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
there weren't paintbrushes. And so, like, you think
Yeah.
about the evolution of how people created art. Of course, we're going to move into technology to create art. That's a natural
Exactly.
evolution. So,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Oh,
I mean, who do you
um,
think gets that? Because you've done a lot of artist in residence programs in your
yes.
life. You did
Mhm.
one with Google, Adobe,
Mhm.
hello,
Mhm.
Cartoon Networks. I
Mhm.
mean, do they get it?
Yes, they do. They I don't work for free. And so that's very
Good.
actually
If I
as
had
part of
applause, I would clap in the app. Yeah.
like
Yeah, I do have it now. I
audience.
was late to the queue. I do have it. I do have it. I'll queue it in later.
Yeah. Um I think as somebody who is a leader in this field, like I'm a leader in the VR AR like creativity field. I thought it was very important as I stepped into this space, like No,
Mm,
I wanna set an example, like, how do you work with
yeah.
artists? Like, what is the value of how we work together and, like, the collaborative elements of hiring on an artist?
Yeah.
Especially for the residencies, that was a lot of actually the creative R&D work of, like, let's experiment and see, like, what this creative medium is, and so I was hired
Oh,
on
okay.
to really push the boundaries of what this technology could do, and so,
I
um
see, I see. That's so interesting because I did
Mhm.
want to ask about that, which you're getting
Yeah.
there, but like so the creative R&D work I was curious about. And so yeah, so
Mhm.
Google has the technology, obviously Adobe has a, can I
Mhm.
just say, a crap ton of technology.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
how would they know unless artists are using it?
Exactly. And so
That's
I
interesting.
especially with Adobe, I was grateful that I was able to work with them for an AR residency early on to
Okay.
explore what the medium of augmented reality is for an artist. And they
Yeah.
had they had segments of like maybe they had like cohorts of several artists,
Yeah.
and we all explored different things, and it was really fun and neat. And this is before they had Adobe Aero, which is their AR program. So this is
Oh,
like
okay.
them. They're still prototyping it at that time that I was in the residency. So I was kind of help shaping it, like
Yeah.
as
So
they were going. Hmm.
that is so interesting because you
Hmm.
are a leader, you want to show the value, and by being
Hmm.
having these residencies and exploring this
Hmm.
technology for them actually helps them,
Hmm.
I'm almost speechless here because I wonder,
Hmm.
do they pay you to be in those residencies, or
Yes.
is the payment, oh, okay. Oh, okay.
Hmm. Yep.
Cool. Well, then I would say this then. Yeah. Yeah. Let's say that. That's good. That's good.
So good. Right?
Yeah, it's so
Because
good.
if you think about it, right, it's a transfer of skills, right? So it's like
Yeah.
it's not just like all that I'm not the only one gaining something from it. They're learning how to work with artists and creatives, and they're learning
Mm.
how, like, I'm doing the work of making the art. I'm really testing to see how to make this medium work. I'm learning like the visual language of it. Like, how do I work in a medium that doesn't deal with physics, for instance? It doesn't work with gravity. So how do you play with that as a creative medium? um so that's
Yeah.
why it's fun that people can walk into my paintings. People won't get like hurt or obstructed by the virtual world. They
Yeah,
can
yeah,
walk
exactly. No
through
sharp edges in
trees.
there.
Yeah, exactly. So that becomes part of that design medium, right? The design rules of that medium. And so
Yeah, and I think
those are the
HP
things I
was doing
explored.
that too. HP had
Mhm.
done something
Yes.
with a few
Mhm.
artists, and Microsoft has
Mhm.
had a
Yep.
whole campaign with artists, and then they would
Mhm.
feature them, and when they were coming out with some of their Microsoft Surface
Yep.
Pro
Yep.
with the pens, and
Exactly.
I always thought it was really
Mhm.
interesting. I was walking around, and I would gravitate to those
Mhm.
technology companies that actually had just artists in their
Yes.
hands. Yeah, because
Yes.
you're like, "Oh, okay, yeah. This is also
Yeah.
beautiful, but okay, this shit works."
It actually speaks to like the parallel I think of when you mentioned that is like if you walk around, you still see a billboard that is just typed out in like just it's like the letters are typed out versus a billboard that's hand painted, right? Like our
Yes.
eyes are much more interested in the hand painted elements. So that
That's so
is the
true.
value of art. That's the value of capturing people's attention or piquing their interest.
You just brought it back home when you said that's the value of art. And have you found that now that you've done all these residencies and you basically sort of help them exploit this technology, do you find that it's easier
Mhm.
when people ask you to do things to ask for for the payment for your services than it used to be? And do you think that's changing as more artists
Mm.
like yourself, the leaders of the pack, so to speak, are
Whew.
beginning to like soften the market for, other artists?
Wow, that's really hard for me to answer. Let me try to think of the. Let me tell you why that's hard for me to answer.
Okay.
So, I know that my role is very uniquely defined by the timing of when I entered the space and like how I've crafted my career and my role very specifically towards me. Like that's the thing is like I do work that's very authentic to me, and that is like very
Yeah.
within my line of passions. And so, with all that, I can negotiate for higher rates and I can show them the evidence. Like, I've done work with these companies, I've done work at this
Mhm.
caliber. Here's the work that XYZ, whatever. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
as it relates to other industries or anyone coming into the space right now, specifically, what is it, March 2024?
24 already, yes.
The economy is not great. There's no money in innovation right now. so
Yeah, that's
uh,
true. No money in
so
innovation.
so right now, I would say it would be very difficult to ask for like kind of the rates that I usually would. I've
Mhm.
been, I have other things. I have side gigs. I do other things as well
Yeah,
to like diversify my income. That's the business component of things I've had to learn, and it's
yeah,
it's different in other industries. Like, a lot of my friends are in animation. They work at like DreamWorks, Disney, etc.,
yeah.
and it's hard for those artists to ask for more money because s- they're going against the grain with
Yeah,
like
no, absolutely. And
the
those
old boys
studios,
club.
like those guys, yeah, and those guys, those studios at DreamWorks employ so many people. Like it's just even on movie
Yeah.
sets, they're whatever
Mhm.
technology they're using, or they're getting a
Mhm.
crop of artists or
Mhm.
glassmakers or
Mhm.
coin, old ancient smelters
Yeah.
to come in and
Yeah.
create, coins for a film that you'll only see a
Yeah.
second. Like the
Yeah.
amount of artists on a movie set always surprised me. I was shocked.
Yeah. Yeah. And they don't get paid that much.
I know.
Um
So they're sort of
it's
stuck in a way.
Yes, exactly. And so, I mean, that's one of the reasons why I love innovation. I love the challenge of it because there's always something new. There's always something
Yeah.
new to, like, for me, that fits my persona. Like, I love the
Yeah.
challenge. I love not knowing exactly all the answers.
Yeah, I love that.
It's kind of a love-hate relationship because when I can't
Yeah.
Google the answer of why the tech thing isn't working, it drives me insane.
I bet. I bet it does because you're probably so far ahead of how people are using it anyway.
Yeah.
You're really trying to push the
Yeah.
boundaries. And you said something interesting that I love about like that's your persona. And it totally is your
Mhm.
persona because look at what you started at 11. You were like, "Hey, I'm supposed
Mm.
to be quiet, but I'm not. I feel like I was told to be quiet, but this is just not me." And then
I
looking
don't
at
feel
your
like that's
path,
right, yeah.
yeah, I don't feel like this
Mhm.
fits. But looking at your path,
Mhm.
it definitely is your path. Like, the Jesuits say, "Show
Mm,
me the boy
mhm.
at 7 and I'll show you the man," or something like that.
Oh, wow,
And
yeah.
yeah, I looked that up recently and I was like, "Oh, that's really
Uh-huh.
interesting." But they say by the time you're
Yeah.
7, you're that basic who you are, your ethos really already is in there and exists. And whether or not it gets,
Oh,
beat out of you or, you
yeah,
know,
yeah,
you break free, and I love
yeah.
your story, and I hope people that are listening hear this because I think this is important. You don't have to do and be one thing.
Oh,
Sometimes
no.
these pieces add up to, like you, this leader in
Mhm.
using, technology to create compelling visual storytelling.
Yes, and so my life story, let me continue.
I love it. We'll go backwards. Yes.
Okay. So that was the Soc component studying at UCLA. And then after that, I worked in web design and web development I have a whole career in that, doing another like maybe
Wow.
8 years or so. And
Okay.
then I was like, well, I'm bored. Let me pursue art because I put it off as a kid, and so like, let me go to school for that. So I went to the Art Center College of Design in Pasadena for
Okay.
um, illustration with a focus on entertainment, so
Wow.
like visual storytelling. And so I did those all as like three
Oh,
separate things, and it wasn't until like i I was graduating art center, and honestly my mentor was the one who was like, you know what, I don't think you should go to work at Disney and DreamWorks. I was like heartbroken. I'm like, "Ugh, I've been studying
yeah,
this whole
because
time."
because that seems like a logical path, right?
Yeah, I'm like, but that's the
You would have
job,
You
right?
would have you would have walked out of there in a second, I
Oh,
feel like.
he knows it. Oh,
Yeah,
he
oh, I
knew
love
it.
that.
And I refused to see it because I was like, I
Oh,
paid so much money to be here, right?
yeah. Yeah, I'm
um,
gonna do it.
but he encouraged me. He's like, look in tech. You're the only one here that has a tech background in this school. So why don't you go find something and explore that? And I was
Wow.
like, oh, right. Like, let me play with this. And that was when VR was was didn't even hit the market yet. That was
Yeah.
right before VR hit the market in 2016. So I was exploring in 2015. Um, and another situation where I was there at the right time with technology.
Yeah, right
Um,
time. I love that. And so you're so would you consider yourself well, how do you call do you consider yourself you're an artist first or a technologist first, or does it matter?
oh, it can't be one or the other. It has to be
Yeah,
both.
I don't see it. It's integrated. It's all
Oh,
part of you. It's
yeah.
like,
Yeah,
yeah.
it is. And so I do best when I have all three spheres kind of in a Venn diagram of like
Ah, yes.
social impact, the creativity, and the technology bit. When
You
all
have
three
your
hit, it's
own
really good.
that's your own messaging right there. All your own messaging.
Yep. Yeah, and right now I'm incorporating more nature into my work. Um
Okay. But
the
that's what you
stuff
did at the last CES. You did a virtual garden, a sustainability garden. Was that
Yes,
part of
I
that or
did. Yes, 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 yes. So, uh this part of the story relates to mental health actually, and that's part of the stuff I
very
talk a
important,
lot
very,
about.
very important.
I share a lot about my own personal stories. I have depression and complex PTSD, and
Mhm.
I struggle with that. And actually, today is a very foggy day, so I'm
Oh,
glad
yeah,
I.
this is foggy, and you're so, like, literally,
Well,
like,
this
over the
peps me up.
100% mark. Oh,
Oh,
I love that.
this peps me up. This is
I
good.
love
This
that,
helps
and I
me. This
really
helps
love
me
that you're
feel
talk
better.
oh, good. I'm really glad that this podcast can help you feel better because you're so inspiring. Like, everything you've done is especially as a woman, it's really hard to find your
Mm.
place in the world, and I
Mhm.
think you are told to do one excuse me,
Mhm.
one thing.
Mhm.
And I don't think that that's necessarily the truth of who you are. And I love that you drew this, talked about this perfect circle, this perfect storm of the
Mhm.
three things, the impact,
Yeah.
the art, the technology. And it's really great you're talking about mental health because I don't think we talk about it enough. And I think we judge
Mm-mm.
people if they have a bad day or you're too low to get up and, get on the phone. But this is part
Mhm.
of who we are. I think this is
Yeah.
truly part of our journey and
Mhm.
discussing mental health um, and I feel for your
Mhm.
foggy day today, and I'm sorry, I will
Oh.
give you a virtual hug through
Oh
the
my
through the
gosh,
through the
thank
airwaves.
you. Thank
Um,
you.
but what a brave and amazing thing to do to choose to come here and share this whole entire story because it's so inspirational. And I don't say that to
Oh.
everybody. So
Oh, thank you.
I mean, why do you think we don't put any emphasis or compassion around mental health? I really
Oh.
think there's a lack of it, and I think if we
Oh,
had it maybe things would be
totally.
different.
Hashtag capitalism, American
Yeah,
living
oh
right here,
yeah,
right? Like,
yes, oh my god,
um, let's throw on a few, for myself, mental health is not discussed in Chinese culture, so throw on a little bit of,
yes,
you know, mental health shame, onto
yeah,
there. There's a good
yep,
dose of
yep,
that. A lot of, I don't know, like, it's I'm still perplexed why as a society it's stigmatizing to discuss about
yeah,
mental health when it's like
yeah,
we talk about being ill. Although right now I still feel like people are afraid to say that they're sick sometimes, and
that's so
obviously
true.
our healthcare doesn't allow us to really be sick.
It really doesn't.
So
It
it
really
goes
does
back to
not
hashtag
allow us.
capitalism. Yeah.
Yeah, I like the hashtag capitalism. I definitely think
Yeah.
that that's true because um yeah, it doesn't allow you, and yet the system then will just
Hmm.
burn you out if you don't.
Yes.
You have to literally go
Yes.
out of your way
Yes.
to make
Yes.
space. I
Yep.
have a whole policy about turning off my phone at a certain time every night,
Yep.
and I
Yep.
don't turn it on until the next day. And when
Yep.
I was traveling recently in Spain, my phone was on like bing, it was like going crazy, and I had no
Uh-huh.
headspace, and I got really sad
Oh,
because I couldn't find myself and was so happy to get on the plane and just turn
yeah.
everything off. I didn't do anything but literally stare at ahead of
At the
me
seat. Yes.
at the sea. I was like, I
Yes.
don't even care at this
Okay,
point.
this is where nature plays a part. Like, get
Huge
yourself
part.
out. If you
Yeah.
can disconnect, I don't know what your relationship and connection with nature is,
Oh,
Jennifer, but like,
my nature. I have bees. I have honeybees in my
oh,
backyard. I'm an avid gardener.
yes.
When I feel the not breathing coming on, I just shut everything off and I go into the garden.
Good. Yes, yes, it's therapy. So, mental health. This is Estella's life journey. Here we go. And
I love it.
so It all like that's the
I
only
want
way I talk about my work is like I have to tell you the whole linear journey of like
No, listen, I love the linear journey. It's like a Hollywood film, except better, because Hollywood films are so linear, but we've taken a lot of detours. And
Yes.
you finished this journey because you wrote about this actually in two sides of the
Mm.
same coin.
Mhm,
And I want to come
mhm.
back to that later where you talked about fitting in, don't, this idea of like, don't stick up, don't stand out. You talked about the Chinese
Yeah.
culture versus the
Yeah.
speak up, be heard, your voice matters. So
Yeah.
I love this
Oh,
video that you did here, and I think it is part of your story. So go ahead and finish
thank you.
the Estelle journey.
Thank you. Mental health component and nature. And so few years ago, 2000, after 2019, after the Rembrandt CES piece, this is
Yeah,
so fascinating. So
yeah, I
right
love it. Hmm.
after that project, um, a lot happened in my personal life. So one of my best friends suddenly passed away.
So
And
hard.
that, that was a huge pillar that just broke for me. She was such a good friend of mine, sister to me, and that's kind of how I started developing PTSD. And I
Hmm.
was in a terrible relationship at the time. Ended up in a not
That'll do
great
it.
situation. Yep, like
Been there.
everything's just foggy and I can't
Yeah,
see where's what
yeah,
and here we are.
yeah. Yeah, I mean,
So
sometimes you need that fog. Sometimes that fog, and as painful as it is, you can't see, ends up getting
yeah.
you through to the other side, oddly.
Yeah, yeah. And so got out of that situation, then I started the healing process
Hmm.
of the depression and losing my friend, and nature was a huge component of that. That's when I started living in Oregon. At first I was staying with some
That's why,
friends and
my question was, how did you get to Oregon? So, yes,
yeah, it's the
so
nature.
beautiful
So I
there.
was with my friends in Bend for a few months and I would just walk along the river and I'd sit at the river every day and just like talk to nature. I would talk to the river and like sit
Oh,
with
yeah.
the trees. Um and then um COVID hit. I
Yeah.
went back to California to be with family for a bit and then
Okay.
stayed there for a bit, and I really couldn't work at the time. The work that I do is so like I have to be in a pretty decent good baseline to be able to do
Yeah, I think that I can see that. I can see that because I think that I've watched you
Mhm.
like from afar creating these things,
Mhm.
and I think that
Mhm.
it probably takes a ton of emotional energy.
Yes. Yes, it does. Yes. A lot of all kinds of energies. Like if we're talking about video
Mm.
game like kind of terminology, like my HP and my MP, like my health points and my magic points both go
Yeah.
like it
Yeah.
it requires both to like do the work that
Yeah.
I do.
You got to
Um
refill.
yes, exactly. And so my mana was so low at that time that I had to
Oh, yeah.
slowly replenish it. And I actually took a break. I didn't really take on work that required me to make work. I did some talks here and there, but I
Mhm.
actually went and worked at a plant nursery in Portland for 2
Oh,
years.
I
So
love that's so important.
yes.
I would be in heaven working
Yes.
in a plant nursery,
Yes.
but how smart are you to know that you are at your level. Your gulf is empty, and that
Yeah.
there's no book that you can pick up. There's nothing you're taught in school.
No.
You don't get it
No.
from family. Like, part of you knew that you had to go do this, and
Yep.
shutting down is one of the most, I think, healthy ways to
Mm.
refill yourself again and become, I call it, become the goo,
Yes.
where a
Yeah.
caterpillar completely dissolves. I mean,
Yes!
like,
Oh
it's
my god!
amazing,
Yes!
right?
Yes!
And they become nothing. Like, there's nothing there. And then what in the world happens? They're goo, and they
I
become
know.
something else. And people dismiss this analogy, but I'm like, you guys, they're goo.
It's the craziest thing. The only thing that stays is their neurological
What?
their nerves. I think that's the
That's
only
it.
thing that stays.
That's the only thing that stays. So I always say go to the goo and stay in the
Yes.
goo because it's
Yes.
there to teach you something.
Yes.
You come out better.
Exactly. And so that was my hibernation
How's
slash
your goo time?
my metamorphosis, like, yeah, my little, like, what is it? A chrysalis time. I was like,
Yeah.
"Ooh." And it was so good. It was like I clock in and clock
Yeah.
out, similar to what you're saying, like having
Yeah.
boundaries with things, right? So I
Yeah.
like clock in, clock out. It was hilarious. I was getting paid $16 an hour, so it's just like,
Yeah.
cool. This
Yeah.
is fine. I'll pay some bills.
Yeah,
And
that's it doesn't matter because money if you have a money comes and goes, like it's
yeah,
flowing. The Japanese approach to
yes,
money is let go and
yes,
it comes and it goes. It comes and it
yes,
goes. You
yes,
assign a
exactly.
value to define your life, you shut down the pathways to money, then it will
Yes,
shut down.
yes. I love that. I'm gonna read up on that. That's
I'm going to
so
send you the link to that
beautiful.
because it's very
Please,
very interesting. He wrote this book about
please.
like how you have to yeah, anyway, I'll send you the link.
Thank you. And so I dedicated a lot of my healing time working at this nursery because I wanted to be in nature. And there's so much we can learn from nature, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah.
it's not like, it's not like a caterpillar decides to then start building its chrysalis. It just does. You know what I mean? Like, it
Exactly,
just
it just
does.
does. Yeah. I
There's
keep
no question of
honeybees.
that.
Yeah, I keep honeybees I have honeybees in the backyard and just when you feel they're actually very great therapy honeybees
Mhm.
because they know what to do. And when I
Yeah.
first started keeping them, my bee mentor, he was like 84
Oh.
years old, and he was like, I was telling him I was worried about this, and I was worried about taking the roof off, and I might squish one, and what if the sprinklers
Yeah.
come on, and if rain's too hard? And he was like, Jennifer, if a whole bunch of bees live in a tree, do you think they actually worry about this stuff? No, they know what to do. They
Yeah.
seal it up. They know what to do. And
Oh.
he said, you have to think like a bee.
Oh.
So he was very helpful, but the beehives, actually, after this, after I do some editing with you, I will be out in the hive. But your point about the caterpillar knows what to do. We know what to do, but we're so
Mm.
clouded by our
Yes.
programming, by what
Yes.
society tells us to do,
Yes.
that we're just lost.
Yes. And I don't have an
So
answer for
you're
that. That's
smart.
really hard. And
Yeah, I
I'm
don't
like,
think you
I
need
wish
to answer. I don't think you need to answer.
one of the coolest projects that I had after this, and you might not have seen it because I haven't updated my portfolio in a while.
Okay.
Um, uh, the there was a group at Oxford University that reached out to
Ooh.
me. So the Torch program, so the Oxford Research Center of Humanities, that's what Torch
Mm.
stands for. They
Yeah.
reached out to me a few years ago, and they were like, "We would love for you to come out here and put on an exhibition. And we love what you're doing with
Oh,
technology and art and this
I love that
approach to
someone recognizes that.
yes, yes, exactly. And the team there, Vicky McGinnis, she's such a good, like, wonderful person. And she's like, we want you to, like, express yourself the way that you do using technology, and
Oh,
we would love to welcome you here to put on an exhibition. We'll help you out with everything. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the dream. And
wow, it is. You
so
didn't have to go out and get it. People are coming to you.
I'm very, very fortunate for that. Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
And I told them, like, I really wanna incorporate nature. It's been such a huge part of this journey for me right now. And I wanna do a piece discussing depression and PTSD. And they're like, "Yeah, like, what do you have in mind?" So the piece is called In Bloom, and
I think that's great. I think that's
and
great.
and I wanted to kind of address, like,
Really?
what happens when after the darkness,
Okay.
like, what happens after that phase. And so I took the analogy of, like, a forest fire. Like, what happens after a forest fire, after, like, a forest gets decimated? How does it
Mhm.
rebuild and how does it replenish itself? And I used that as a visual backdrop. And I incorporated the pieces that I've created just for myself for the last 4 years of, like, struggling.
Yeah.
Um, and I literally couldn't see color very well, Jennifer, during that time in the dark
I
era. I just
that's amazing to me and also
yeah.
not amazing. Not amazing because That
Yeah.
is your, again, I think your internal like self resetting itself. Like
Oh, fascinating. Oh, I
I
never thought
believe.
about it that way.
Yeah, because we try to fight all this again. We know what to do on so many levels. And I think people call it the gut instinct or whatever, but you could
Yeah.
not see color for a reason,
Wow. I
because you
never thought
needed.
about it that way.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
as I'm a writer, and I went through a period as well where I couldn't put two words together.
Yeah.
And someone said to me, "You're not supposed to right now."
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
I
could see
think
that.
that I think it's really hard to let go and just
Mhm.
trust that you are built to know what you're supposed to do. You got to just deprogram yourself.
Oh, that's
You
so
got to
beautiful.
decode yourself, right? Because I mean, unfortunately, I did not make that up. A neuroscientist did. His name is Joe Dispenza, and he talks
Uh-huh.
about constructing yourself and literally decoding all the programming that's been shoved in front of you that you don't even realize is like sort of covering up all of this.
Oh,
So your body's like, okay, you can't see color for a reason because you need to be here at this moment in time.
wow. I need to read
And
that. Please send
but
that to
coming
me.
out, I'll send you that link too. But coming out of that,
Oh,
you've
yeah.
come out of that, and now what do you see?
Oh my gosh. I see. Well, there's just so much peace. There's so
Being
much
nature,
nature.
being yeah.
Oh my god, like, yeah, like, that was the wonderful thing about working at the nursery is that, like, every day I'm like, "Whoa, like, look at this pattern. This is just existing. This thing is just existing in nature." Like,
I love
nature,
that.
Mother Nature's the best designer. I'm, like, looking at it.
So
I'm like, "How did
gorgeous,
she
and
do
as a
this?"
she you have you I don't know, I love okra. Okra is one of my favorite vegetables,
Mm,
and if
mhm,
you've ever grown okra and you
mhm.
see it, it produces the most magnificent flower that looks like it came from another galaxy and
Oh,
sat down on top of
wow.
it. Is look them up. It's
Oh,
absolutely, and
wow.
you I get close because I grew it last year, and I just will cup it in my hand. I'm like, what is going on there? Like the tentacles and the cups and the
Yes.
things and the
Yeah.
shapes
Mhm,
I love
mhm,
to watch my bees on plants, right? And I get
mhm.
down there and I'm like, look at that. Look at he's so thirsty and he's packing his little legs with little fuzzy
Little
colors and
pollens, yeah.
little Ugg boots. And it's
Yes.
so adorable and so
Oh.
magnificent. And we like that's the beauty, I think, of your time in the nursery. It gave you
Mhm.
something that you then used to do rebuild,
Yes.
replenish with your in
Yes.
bloom. Well, where can we see
Yes.
this? Has it already been
Oh,
done? Has it already happened
it
or
yeah, as true to form, it has happened, and it was a blimp of a moment.
was a
But I
moment?
have a video for it, and so one
Okay.
of the components I added for In Bloom was having a kind of how do I say, uh I said I'm blanking right now. It's got a collaborative piece at the end of it. So I wanted people to add
Oh, okay.
to this forest, right? It's about like
Oh,
biodiversity, right? Like, well, let's have different
I love
voices in
that.
this. And so I
Yeah.
had a whole bunch of different post-its where like I started off with like write a like positive note or something inspirational for somebody, and like there was just hundreds of notes. Like this was an exhibition that was
Really?
open to the public, and like there was just so many beautiful notes. They were written in different languages. I had to like translate what some of them were, and there was just
Oh,
beautiful,
love that.
beautiful
Were you able to
messages written.
capture that in the
Yes,
post?
yes, yes,
Okay,
yes.
good.
I'll send you pictures as
Well,
well. So
yeah,
if you
will
want
you
to
send
add links to
pictures?
it.
I was gonna ask you, I was gonna tell everybody, we're gonna put in the notes, in the
Hmm.
show notes, we're gonna put all
Hmm.
of Estella's
Hmm.
links. We're gonna put in Bloom links so you all can experience that. And we'll put some other ones that
Hmm.
we have. We're gonna put the access to our website. Um
Hmm.
we've completely run out of time, but I'd love to have you go back and do a part two. But is there
Hmm.
any what would you like to leave? What's the piece
Mm.
of advice that you'd like to leave that you'd wanna leave to maybe someone aspiring to be you or to
Yeah.
do what you're doing, or if they feeling like they can't because their mothers told them no, or,
Oh my
you know,
gosh.
for whatever reason, what do you wanna say to people?
You're so not alone, and like You'll figure it out. It's okay. And please be kind to yourself.
That's
Oh,
the biggest
like
truth right there. Yeah.
yeah, like I'm actually not good at that. I need friends to remind me, like my partner reminds me,
Yeah.
my dog reminds me, and it's just
Oh,
like
yes. I saw that you had a yes, I have a dog too. They remind you every day that you're amazing.
yeah, and she's like, "Come on, mom, let's go play." I'm like, "I don't want to play." And she's like,
I don't
"Let's
wanna play.
go."
You're going. You're going. Well,
Yeah.
I think that's great advice, and I think it's advice that we often forget, and we have to stop, and like you said at the very beginning of this, like, you like to
Mhm.
live in the moment, and a moment
Mhm.
is all we have.
Mhm. Mhm. Thank you for
So,
this
live
moment.
it. Yeah. Well, thank
Thank
you
you
for
for
this moment because
n
through a mishap of scheduling, everyone will know later, is that we finally got here. And I'm so grateful because, like I said, I spent many years interviewing you back to 2019 and
Yeah.
again this year. And it is actually, I was a little nervous to ask you to be on the podcast. Yeah. See, you never know with people.
I'm so happy
I
to
was
be
like,
here.
she's
Thank
this
you.
huge artist. She's out there doing all these residencies, creating all this stuff. Why don't you want to come on this podcast?
I'm just a
So
human person. It's
I
okay.
know,
I'm
but
just a
that's
human
what we do to
person.
ourselves. That's what we do to ourselves. Right. Okay. Well, thank you so much for this, Estella. It's a true pleasure. We're going to put all the links
Thank
in
you.
and keep creating.
Thank you.
Welcome to the wonderful world of Estella. I am going to put all of her links into the notes. She has some fantastic YouTube videos and a lot of videos and interviews with her installations that she's done all over the world. So I think one of the great things about this episode about Tiny Little Victories that I love is that, you go in to talk about one thing and you end up talking about another thing. And I think how incredibly wonderful it is this multi-talented artist, this multi-talented technology person also feels so free to talk to us about her challenges and things that sometimes stop her from moving forward in her craft, just like all of us, okay? Just like all of us. So if anything, I say that it's like hip hip hooray for Estella for just being her true authentic self and creating beautiful things in the world for us. Okay, on that note, stay tuned next week for the next episode of Tiny Little Victories.